Afghanistan, capital Kabul, language Pashto, currency Afghani, area 652,860 km square. Albania, capital Tirana, currency Albanian lake, language Albanian, area 28,748 square kilometers. Algeria, capital Algiers, national language Arabic, currency Algerian dinar, area 2,381,740 square kilometers. Andorra, capital Andorra la Vella, national language Catalan, and currency Euro, area 468 kilometers square. Angola, capital Luanda, national language Portuguese, currency Angolan Kwanza, area 1,246,700 square kilometers. Antigua and Barbuda, capital St. John's, national language English, currency Eastern Caribbean dollar, area 440 square kilometers. Argentina, capital Buenos Aires, national language Spanish, currency Argentina peso, area 278,400 square kilometers. Armenia, capital Yerevan, national language Armenian, currency Armenian dram, area 29,743 square kilometers. Australia, capital Canberra, national language English, currency Australian dollar, area 7,665,751 square kilometers. Austria, capital Vienna, national language German, currency Euro, area 83,871 square kilometers. Azerbaijan, capital Baku, national language Azerbaijani, currency Azerbaijani manat, area 86,600 square kilometers. Bahamas, capital Nassau, national language English, currency Bahamian dollar, area 13,880 square kilometers. Bahrain, capital Manama, national language Arabic, currency Bahraini dinar, area 765 square kilometers. Bangladesh, capital Dhaka, national language Bengali, currency Taka, area 148,460 kilometers square. Barbados, capital Bridgetown, national language English, currency Barbados dollar, area 439 square kilometers. Belarus, capital Minsk, national language Belarusian, currency Belarusian ruble, area 207,600 square kilometers. Belgium, capital Brussels, national language Dutch, French and German, currency Euro, area 30,688 square kilometers. Belize, capital Belmopan, national language English, currency Belize dollar, area 22,965 square kilometers. Benin, capital Porto Novo, national language French, currency Western African CFA franc, area 114,763 square kilometers. Bhutan, capital Thimphu, national language Jonka, currency Ingultrum, area 38,394 square kilometers. Bolivia, capital Sucre, national language Spanish and 36 indigenous languages, currency Boliviano, area 1,098,581 square kilometers. Bosnia and Herzegovina, capital Sarajevo, national language Bosnian, currency Bosnia-Herzegovina, convertible marca, area 51,197 square kilometers. Botswana, national language English, capital Gaborone, currency Botswana Pula, area 581,730 square kilometers. Brazil, capital Brasilia, national language Portuguese, currency Brazilian real, area 8,515,770 kilometers square. Brunei Darussalam, capital Bandar Seri Begawan, national language Malay, currency Brunei dollar, area 5,765 kilometers square. Bulgaria, capital Sofia, national language Bulgarian, currency Bulgarian lev, area 110,994 kilometers square. Burkina Faso, capital Ouagadougou, national language French, currency West African CFA franc, area 274,400 kilometers square. Burundi, capital Gitega, national language Kirundi, French, currency Burundian franc, area 27,834 kilometers square. Cambodia, capital Phnom Penh, national language Khmer, currency Cambodian rial, area 181,035 kilometers square. Cameroon, capital Yaoundé, national language French and English, currency Central African CFA franc, area 475,442 square kilometers. Canada, capital Ottawa, national language English and French, currency Canadian dollar, area 9,984,670 kilometers square. Cape Verde, capital Praia, national language Portuguese, currency Cape Verdean escudo, area 4,033 kilometers square. Central African Republic, capital Bangui, national language French and Sango, currency Central African CFA franc, area 623,000 square kilometer. Chad, capital N'Djamena, national language Arabic and French, currency Central African CFA franc, area 128,400 square kilometer. Chile, capital Santiago, national language Spanish, currency Chilean peso, area 756,102 kilometers square. China, capital Beijing, national language Mandarin Chinese, currency yuan, area 9,596,960 kilometers square. Colombia, capital Bogota, national language Spanish, currency Colombian peso, area 1,138,910 square kilometer. Comoros, capital Moroni, national language Comorian, French and Arabic, currency Comorian franc, area 1,862 kilometers square. Democratic Republic of Congo, capital Kinshasa, national language French, currency Congolese franc, area 2,344,858 kilometers square. Costa Rica, capital San Jose, national language Spanish, currency Costa Rican colon, area 51,179 square kilometers. Croatia, capital Zagreb, national language Croatian, currency Croatian kuna, area 56,594 square kilometers. Cuba, capital Havana, national language Spanish, currency Cuban peso, area 109,884 square kilometers. Cyprus, capital Nicosia, national language Greek and Turkish, currency Euro, area 9,251 square kilometers. Czech Republic, capital Prague, national language Czech, currency Czech koruna, area 78,871 square kilometers. Denmark, capital Copenhagen, national language Danish, currency Danish krone, area 42,943 kilometers square. Djibouti, capital Djibouti City, national language French and Arabic, currency Djiboutian franc, area 23,200 square kilometers. Dominica, national language English, capital Roseau, currency Eastern Caribbean dollar, area 750 square kilometers. Dominican Republic, capital Santo Domingo, national language Spanish, currency Dominican peso, area 48,442 square kilometers. Ecuador, capital Quito, national language Spanish, currency US dollar, area 283,561 square kilometers. Egypt, capital Cairo, national language Arabic, currency Egyptian pound, area 1,001,450 square kilometers. El Salvador, capital San Salvador, national language Spanish, currency US dollar, area 21,041 square kilometers. Equatorial Guinea, capital Malabo, national language Spanish, currency Central African CFA franc, area 28,050 kilometers square. Eritrea, capital Asmara, national language Tigrinya, currency Eritrean Nakfa, area 117,598 kilometers square. Estonia, capital Tallinn, national language Estonian, currency Euro, area 45,338 kilometers square. Ethiopia, capital Addis Ababa, national language Amharic, currency Ethiopian birr, area 1,104,300 kilometers square. Fiji, capital Suva, national language English Fijian, Hindi, currency Fijian dollar, area 18,274 kilometers square. Finland, capital Helsinki, national language Finnish and Swedish, currency Euro, area 338,440 square kilometer. France, capital Paris, national language French, currency Euro, area 543,940 kilometers square. Gabon, capital Libreville, national language French, currency Central African CFA franc, area 267,667 kilometers square. Gambia, capital Banjul, national language English, currency Gambian Dalasi, area 11,295 kilometers square. Georgia, capital Tbilisi, national language Georgian, currency Georgian lari, area 69,700 kilometers square. Germany, capital Berlin, national language German, currency Euro, area 357,580 kilometers square. Ghana, capital Accra, national language English, currency Ghanaian Cedi, area 258,533 kilometers square. Greece, capital Athens, national language Greek, currency Euro, area 131,957 kilometers square. Grenada, capital St. George's, national language English, currency Eastern Caribbean dollar, area 348.5 kilometers square. Guatemala, capital Guatemala City, national language Spanish, currency Guatemala Quetzal, area 108,889 kilometers square. Guinea, capital Conakry, national language French, currency Guinean franc, area 245,857 kilometers square. Guinea-Bissau, capital Bissau, national language Portuguese, currency Western African CFA franc, area 36,125 kilometers square. Guyana, capital Georgetown, national language English, currency Guineas dollar, area 214,969 kilometers square. Haiti, capital Port-au-Prince, national language Haitian Creole, French, currency Haitian gourde, area 27,750 kilometers square. Honduras, capital Tegucigalpa, national language Spanish, currency Honduran Lempira, area 112,492 kilometers square. Hungary, capital Budapest, national language Hungarian, currency Hungarian forint, area 93,022 kilometers square. Iceland, capital Reykjavik, national language Icelandic, currency Icelandic krona, area 103,125 kilometers square. India, capital New Delhi, national language Hindi, currency Indian rupee, area 3,287,263 kilometers square. Indonesia, capital Jakarta, national language Indonesian, currency Indonesian rupiah, area 1,904,569 kilometers square. Iran, capital Tehran, national language Persian, currency Iranian rial, area 1,648,195 kilometers square. Iraq, capital Baghdad, national language Arabic, currency Iraqi dinar, area 438,317 kilometers square. Ireland, capital Dublin, national language Irish and English, currency Euro, area 84,421 kilometers square. Israel, capital Jerusalem, national language Hebrew, currency Israeli shekel, area 22,072 kilometers square. Italy, capital Rome, national language Italian, currency Euro, area 302,073 kilometers square. Jamaica, capital Kingston, national language English, currency Jamaican dollar, area 10,992 kilometers square. Japan, capital Tokyo, national language Japanese, currency yen, area 377,975 kilometers square. Jordan, capital Amman, national language Arabic, currency Jordanian dinar, area 89,342 kilometers square. Kazakhstan, capital Astana, national language Kazakh and Russian, currency Kazakhstani tenge, area 2,724,900 kilometers square. Kenya, capital Nairobi, national language Swahili, English, currency Kenyan shilling, area 580,367 kilometers square. Kiribati, capital Tarawa, national language Kiribati, English, currency Kiribati dollar, area 811 kilometers square. North Korea, capital Pyongyang, national language Korean, currency North Korean won, area 120,558 kilometers square. Kuwait, capital Kuwait City, national language Arabic, currency Kuwaiti dinar, area 17,818 kilometers square. Kyrgyzstan, capital Bishkek, national language Kyrgyz and Russian, currency Kyrgyzstani som, area 199,900 kilometers square. Laos, capital Vientiane, national language Lao, currency Lao Kip, area 236,800 kilometers square. Latvia, capital Riga, national language Latvian, currency Euro, area 64,589 kilometers square. Lebanon, capital Beirut, national language Arabic, currency Lebanese pound, area 10,452 kilometers square. Lesotho, capital Majuro, national language Southern Sesotho, English, currency Lesotho Loti, area 30,355 kilometers square. Liberia, capital Monrovia, national language English, currency Liberian dollar, area 111,369 kilometers square. Libya, capital Tripoli, national language Arabic, currency Libyan dinar, area 1,759,540 kilometers. Liechtenstein, capital Vaduz, national language German, currency Swiss franc, area 160 kilometers square. Lithuania, capital Vilnius, national language Lithuanian, currency Euro, area 65,300 kilometers square. Luxembourg, capital Luxembourg, national language French and German, currency Euro, area 2,586 kilometers square. Madagascar, capital Antananarivo, national language Malagasy, French, currency Malagasy Ariari, area 587,041 kilometers square. Malawi, capital Lilongwe, national language English, currency Malawian Kwacha, area 118,484 kilometers square. Malaysia, capital Kuala Lumpur, national language Malay, currency Malaysian Ringgit, area 329,613 kilometers square. Maldives, capital Malé, national language DBAH and currency Maldivian rupiah, area 297.8 kilometers square. Mali, capital Bamako, national language French, currency Western African CFA franc, area 1,240,192 kilometers square. Malta, capital Valletta, national language Maltese, English, currency Euro, area 316 kilometers square. Marshall Islands, capital Majuro, national language Marshallese and English, currency US dollar, area 181.3 kilometers square. Mauritania, capital Nouakchott, national language Arabic, currency Mauritanian Ouguiya, area 1,030,700 kilometers square. Mauritius, capital Port Louis, national language English, currency Mauritian rupee, area 2,040 kilometers square. Mexico, capital Mexico City, national language Spanish, currency Mexican peso, area 1,964,375 kilometers square. Micronesia, capital Palikir, national language English, currency US dollar, area 702 kilometers square. Moldova, capital Chisinau, national language Romanian, currency Moldovan lei, area 33,846 kilometers square. Monaco, capital Monte Carlo, national language French, currency Euro, area 2.1 kilometers square. Mongolia, capital Ulaanbaatar, national language Mongolian, currency Mongolian Togrog, area 1,564,116 kilometers square. Montenegro, capital Podgorica, national language Montenegrin, currency Euro, area 13,812 kilometers square. Montserrat, capital Plymouth, national language English, currency Eastern Caribbean dollar, area 102 kilometers square. Morocco, capital Rabat, national language Arabic, currency Moroccan dirham, area 710,850 kilometers square. Mozambique, capital Maputo, national language Portuguese, currency Mozambican Metico, area 801,590 kilometers square. Myanmar, capital Naypyidaw, national language Burmese, currency Myanmar Kyat, area 676,578 kilometers square. Namibia, capital Windhoek, national language English, currency Namibian dollar, area 824,292 kilometers square. Nauru, capital Yaren, national language Nauruan, currency Australian dollar, area 20.98 kilometers square. Nepal, capital Kathmandu, national language Nepalese, currency Nepalese rupee, area 147,516 kilometers square. Netherlands, capital Amsterdam, national language Dutch, currency Euro, area 41,543 kilometers square. New Zealand, capital Wellington, national language English, Maori, currency New Zealand dollar, area 268,021 kilometers square. Nicaragua, capital Managua, national language Spanish, currency Nicaraguan Cordoba, area 130,373 kilometers square. Niger, capital Niamey, national language French, currency Western African CFA franc, area 1,267,000 kilometers square. Nigeria, capital Abuja, national language English, currency Nigerian naira, area 923,768 kilometers square. North Macedonia, capital Skopje, national language Macedonian, currency Macedonian dinar, area 25,713 kilometers square. Norway, capital Oslo, national language Norwegian, currency Norwegian krone, area 385,203 kilometers square. Oman, capital Muscat, national language Arabic, currency Omani Rial, area 309,501 kilometers square. Pakistan, capital Islamabad, national language Urdu, currency Pakistani rupee, area 796,096 kilometers square. Palau, capital Narul Mode, national language Palauan, currency US dollar, area 458.4 kilometers square. Palestine, capital Ramallah, national language Arabic, currency Palestine pound, area 6,020 kilometers square. Panama, capital Panama City, national language Spanish, currency Panamanian Balboa, area 74,177 kilometers square. Papua New Guinea, capital Port Moresby, national language English, currency Papua New Guinean Kina, area 462,840 kilometers square. Paraguay, capital Asunción, national language Spanish, currency Paraguayan Guarani, area 406,752 kilometers square. Peru, capital Lima, national language Spanish, currency Sol, area 1,285,216 kilometers square. Philippines, capital Manila, national language Filipino, Tagalog, English, currency Philippine peso, area 300,000 kilometers square. Poland, capital Warsaw, national language Polish, currency Polish zloty, area 312,679 kilometers square. Portugal, capital Lisbon, national language Portuguese, currency Euro, area 92,212 kilometers square. Qatar, capital Doha, national language Arabic, currency Qatari Riyal, area 11,571 kilometers square. Romania, capital Bucharest, national language Romanian, currency Romanian leu, area 238,397 kilometers square. Russia, capital Moscow, national language Russian, currency Russian ruble, area 17,098,242 kilometers square. Rwanda, capital Kigali, national language Kinyarwanda, currency Rwandan franc, area 26,338 kilometers. St. Kitts and Nevis, capital Basseterre, national language English, currency Eastern Caribbean dollar, area 269.4 kilometers square. St. Lucia, capital Castries, national language English, currency Eastern Caribbean dollar, area 617 kilometers square. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, capital Kingston, national language English, currency Eastern Caribbean dollar, area 389 kilometers square. Samoa, capital Apia, national language Samoan, currency Samoan Tala, area 2,831 kilometers square. San Marino, capital San Marino, national language Italian, currency Euro, area 61.2 kilometers square. Sao Tome and Principe, capital Sao Tome, national language Portuguese, currency Sao Tome and Principe Dobra, area 1001 kilometers square. Saudi Arabia, capital Riyadh, national language Arabic, currency Saudi Riyal, area 2,149,690 kilometers square. Senegal, capital Dakar, national language French, currency Western African CFA franc, area 196,722 kilometers square. Serbia, capital Belgrade, national language Serbian, currency Serbian dinar, area 88,499 kilometers square. Seychelles, capital Victoria, national language Seychellois, Creole, English and French, currency Seychellois rupee, area 458.4 kilometers square. Sierra Leone, capital Freetown, national language English, currency Sierra Leone, area 71,740 kilometers square. Singapore, capital Singapore, national language Malay, Mandarin, English, Tamil, currency Singapore dollar, area 728.6 kilometers square. Slovakia, capital Bratislava, national language Slovak, currency Euro, area 49,034 kilometers square. Slovenia, capital Ljubljana, national language Slovenian, currency Euro, area 20,271 kilometers square. Solomon Islands, capital Honiara, national language English, currency Solomon Islands dollar, area 28,399 kilometers square. Somalia, capital Mogadishu, national language Somali, currency Somali shilling, area 637,657 kilometers square. South Africa, capital Bloemfontein, Cape Town, national language Zulu, Xhosa, Afrikaans, English, currency South African Rand, area 1,221,044 kilometers square. South Sudan, capital Juba, national language English, currency South Sudanese pound, area 644,329 kilometers square. Spain, capital Madrid, national language Spanish, currency Euro, area 505,990 kilometers square. Sri Lanka, capital Colombo, Jayawardenepura Kot, national language Sinhala Tamil, currency Sri Lankan rupee, area 65,610 kilometers square. Sudan, capital Khartoum, national language Arabic and English, currency Sudanese dollar, area 1,861,484 kilometers square. Suriname, capital Paramaribo, national language Dutch, currency Suriname dollar, area 163,820 kilometers square. Swaziland, capital Mbabane, national language Swazi, currency Swazilandeni, area 17,364 kilometers square. Sweden, capital Stockholm, national language Swedish, currency Swedish krona, area 447,430 kilometers square. Switzerland, capital Bern, national language German and French, currency Swiss franc, area 41,290 kilometers square. Syria, capital Damascus, national language Arabic, currency Syrian pound, area 185,180 kilometers square. Taiwan, capital Taipei City, national language Mandarin, currency New Taiwan dollar, area 36,188 kilometers square. Tajikistan, capital Dushanbe, national language Tajiki, currency Tajikistani Somani, area 141,400 kilometers square. Tanzania, capital Dodoma, national language Swahili and English, currency Tanzanian shilling, area 945,087 kilometers square. Thailand, capital Bangkok, national language Thai, currency Thai baht, area 513,120 kilometers square. Togo, capital Lomé, national language French, currency Western African CFA franc, area 56,785 kilometers square. Tonga, capital Nuku'alofa, national language Tongan, currency Tongan Pa'anga, area 748.5 kilometers square. Trinidad and Tobago, capital Port of Spain, national language English, currency Trinidad and Tobago dollar, area 5,131 kilometers square. Tunisia, capital Tunis, national language Arabic, currency Tunisian dinar, area 163,610 kilometers square. Turkey, capital Ankara, national language Turkish, currency Turkish lira, area 783,562 kilometers square. Turkmenistan, capital Ashgabat, national language Turkmen, currency Turkmenistani manat, area 488,099 kilometers square. Tuvalu, capital Funafuti, national language Tuvaluan, currency Tuvaluan dollar, area 25.9 kilometers square. Uganda, capital Kampala, national language Swahili and English, currency Ugandan shilling, area 241,037 kilometers square. Ukraine, capital Kiev, national language Ukrainian, currency Ukrainian hryvnia, area 603,550 kilometers square. United Arab Emirates, capital Abu Dhabi, national language Arabic, currency UAE dirham, area 83,600 kilometers square. United Kingdom, capital London, national language English, currency pound sterling, area 242,495 kilometers square. USA, capital Washington DC, national language English, currency US dollar, area 9,833,517 kilometers square. Uruguay, capital Montevideo, national language Spanish, currency Peso Uruguayo, area 176,215 kilometers square. Uzbekistan, capital Tashkent, national language Uzbek, currency Uzbekistani som, area 447,400 kilometers square. Vanuatu, capital Port Vila, national language English, French, Bislama, currency Vanuatu Vatu, area 12,199 kilometers square. Vatican City, capital Vatican City, national language Latin, Italian, currency Euro, area 49 hectares. Venezuela, capital Caracas, national language Spanish, currency Venezuelan Bolivar, area 912,050 kilometers square. Vietnam, capital Hanoi, national language Vietnamese, currency Vietnamese dong, area 331,690 kilometers square. Yemen, capital Sana'a, national language Arabic, currency Yemeni Rial, area 527,968 kilometers square. Zambia, capital Lusaka, national language English, currency Zambian Kwacha, area 752,616 kilometers square. Zimbabwe, capital Harare, national language Chiva, Chibare, English Kalanga, Shona, area 390,757 kilometers square. South Korea, capital Seoul, national language Korean, currency South Korean won, area 100,339 kilometers square.